Oh, well, hello. I did it again. I had myself not in my own live. Oops. Hi. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. Karma Police, hello. Dagburn, I saw you in here. How you doing? Tanel Ray, how you doing? Who else did I see? Young Black Economist, first in. Good morning, darling. Good afternoon. Hopefully you're still here. Sorry I'm late. Facts and truth only. Hello, Karma Police. Hello, Justice. Hello. How you guys doing today? Happy Saturday. This one's technically for Too Fast for Fleas. She requested it the other day. So there's a couple things that I wanted to go through today. We have two for Self Authentication of Records, and it's interesting. I wanted to look at both because, one's from the defense, one's from the state, and it's interesting to see now what the state doesn't want to self-authenticate and what now they're saying, nah, we decided we're not going to go with any of that. Kent, how you doing? Welcome on in. Summer Jade, hello. How are you? So yeah, we got a couple things to look at today. Mercy Cat, good morning. Happy Saturday. Good afternoon. Hope you had a good night's sleep. So yeah, let's see. Technically, today's live is for Too Fast for Fleas. She requested it. So, hopefully gets herself on in here, huh? Or catches it on the replay, maybe. I don't know. Bad Sheet, how you doing? Tar Rock, hello. How's my audio, guys? I checked my mic. Hopefully it's good. You got snow on the mountain? Is that what that says? Oh, fire on the mountain. So yeah, all right. There's technically a couple of things for the self-authentication of records. I know one of them is like 70 pages, but we could probably blow through it pretty quick. So let's see. I'm just going to get right to it. Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you for being here. Happy Saturday. Any of my mods, if I'm in another window reading, I cannot see chat. But hello, everyone, and welcome on in. We're just going to get right to it. Sound is good? Awesome. Christy, thank you. Quality Emerald, hello. Hi, Christy. Thanks for being here. Hi, Batsheet. Quality Emerald, hello. All right, so let's share here. Let's get into this. Let's see. I think we're going to let's do defendants first, because then we'll get the state's reply. Yeah, we'll go in order. Okay. As you can see, as I usually do, I go through and mark things up. Now, all right. Everybody ready? Ready to get a crack? Can you got your coffee? You got your snacks? Got everything you need? All right. See this good? Perfect. Let's go. Comes now Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorneys of record, hereby objects to the state's motion in limine to admit self-authenticating records. The state provided a list containing terabytes of discovery in its motion for admission at trial based on an exception to the rule against hearsay. This is an example of the discovery practices that the state engages in, which violates Mr. Kohberger's right to due process and a fair trial. Mr. Kohberger grounds his objection in the United States Constitution, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment, and the Idaho Constitution, Article 1, Section 13. The state has not provided a specific record with certificate and affidavit. The state has promised certification in the future, but has failed to properly identify the record and how it falls within 8036 and or 8. The Idaho Court of Appeals has said, quote, Rule 8036, the business record exception to the hearsay rule, allows admission of a record or report if it was made and kept in the course of a regularly conducted business activity and if it was the regular practice of that business to make the report or record. The provided list is not easily identifiable as to which records the state is referring to. Many of the records require foundation because the state has not supplied information to guarantee completeness and authenticity of the record. Aside from the issues of authenticity, the state provides no basis upon which any of these records are relevant and meet the Idaho Rules of Evidence 401, 402, and 403. Before any of these records are admitted, they must first be relevant. Only then does the determination of whether an exception to the hearsay rules even matters. In support of his objection, Mr. Kohberger describes the size and complexity of each item for which the state requests admission, and with the state requests admission with a promise certificate as follows. 1. 1320 Linda Lane surveillance footage for November 13th, 2022. Then we also have 1330 Linda Lane surveillance footage. 2 hard drives, two different, they're both AV 000147. These surveillance videos contained in the folder are 2 videos from the same viewpoint. They are each a 1-hour time block. Counsel has located in discovery video footage from the 2 cameras that are between 8 and 9 gigs of data. This data runs in numerous clips of varying length with an approximate total of 12 and a half hours. So they're trying to turn over 2 hours of it, this folder. It's 2 videos from the same viewpoint. They're each a 1-hour time block. Meanwhile, it's actually 8 to 9 gigs of data totaling 12 and a half hours that counsel located in the discovery. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. You'll see that a lot here. 3. Albertsons, Clarkston, Washington, video surveillance and business records for November 13th. This is a surveillance recording that is about 3 gigabytes in size. The file contains multiple views that cover about a 2-hour time block. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. 4. Amazon financial and user records for Bryan Kohberger. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 AV files here. First one contains an Excel spreadsheet with information and categories for the subscription information and order history for an Amazon account, Mr. Kohberger, and his family members. Second folder contains Mr. Kohberger's father's account records and purchase history. These records list purchases for the entire family. Third folder contains subscription history, click activity, and sign-in history for the Amazon account for Mr. Kohberger and his family. Fourth folder contains a police report from Michael Douglas. Mr. Kohberger objects specifically to AV 832 as it is a police report and the prosecution must have a witness to testify about the contents of a police report. He objects to the rest of the requested documents because the records are not a complete record. The court should consider Mr. Kohberger's motion to exclude all Amazon records and expert testimony in conjunction with the state's request. On March 12, 2025, the state filed expert opinions related to Amazon records some 3 months after its expert disclosure deadline. 5. AT&T phone records for Mr. Kohberger, MMXK. 1 folder. Mr. Kohberger notes that these records are 1 copy of several copies obtained during the course of the case. This folder also contains records relating to someone else. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate that the records were made and kept in the course of regularly conducted business activity. Mr. Kohberger seeks exclusion of these records based on the state's incomplete expert disclosures. This should not be an allowed method of circumventing those failures. 6. Bagel Shop video surveillance for November 13th, 2022. This surveillance video is over 7.5 gigs in size. No information has been submitted explaining how this video is certified or what the state intends to use. 7. Bank of America records for Bethany Funk and Xana Kernodle. 2 folders. The 2 folders contain different sets of information. First folder contains Bank of America records for Bethany and Xana. There is an additional record listed that appears to be for another person. Additionally, sections of the record are redacted, blocking out information. The second folder contains Bank of America records for Bethany and Xana. These records are different than those in the first folder. Interesting. Number 8, Banner Bank banking records for Ethan Chapin. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. This folder contains Banner Bank records for both Ethan Chapin and his mother. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Number 9, Cafe Artista video surveillance, November 13th. This disclosure contains still photos as well as multiple files of recordings. The total amount of video footage available is around 2 hours. The state has not disclosed what portion of the video it intends to use. Number 10, Corner Club video surveillance footage for November 12th through 13th, 2 folders. These 2 files may be duplicate disclosures. The video surveillance is from 14 different cameras with multiple hours of video footage. There is no disclosure containing what sections of this discovery the state intends to use at trial or how this record is a regularly collected and maintained record for business. Number 11, Corner Club financial transaction receipts of sale for November 13th, 2022. This record is 138 pages of receipts from the Corner Club bar. There is no disclosure regarding what pages the state intends to admit as evidence. I made a little note here. The receipt we have shows that Kaylee cashed out at 12:22 p.m. Number 12, Costco, Clarkston, Washington, November 13th, 1 file. This surveillance is from up to 10 cameras and runs for approximately an hour. The state provides no disclosure of what segments of these videos it intends to use, blah, blah, blah. 13, DeSale student records regarding Bryan Kohberger, 1 folder. This disclosure is thousands of pages of documents that are not organized in any fashion. This disclosure involves information related to Mr. Kohberger's calendar, coursework drafts, final drafts, testing emails, and syllabi for classes while he was a student at DeSales. The state has not specified what, out of this extensive and disorganized information it intends to use, how records contained in Mr. Kohberger's personal school Google account are a business record kept in the ordinary course by DeSales, how these privacy-protected education records are admissible in court. Well, I made a little note here what they're using out of this big clusterfuck of data that they got that they shouldn't have been able to get because it is protected education records. They're using his final from 2020 for the crime scene, his crime scene final. That's what they're using. 14, Dick's Sporting Good records of the sale for Bryan Kohberger, 1 file. This disclosure contains a copy of a sales record from June of 2022. State has not specified what records it intends to admit as evidence. 15, Discover financial records for Kaylee, 1 file. This record contains a certification for 33 pages of records. The state has only supplied 17 pages, including the compliance forms and emails. The record is incomplete. Well, yeah, no shit, it's incomplete. You included the compliance forms and the emails, but just forgot 16 pages, even though it's certified for 33. Why are you missing 16 pages of her Discover financial records? 16, DoorDash records for Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, 1 file. It contains Ethan Chapin's DoorDash records, but does not contain records for Xana Kernodle. Disclosure is a DoorDash search warrant return. The warrant return contains photographs, a list of deliveries to 1122 King Road, and span as far back as 2019, and a spreadsheet of communication between the person ordering the food and the DoorDasher. The state has not specified which of these words it intends to use at trial. Well, we know that it looks like what they plan to say. Oh, wait, this is DoorDash. I'm thinking of something else. 17, early warning records. This disclosure contains some certificate, but no record with content. And if I remember correctly, they're not even using them anyway. 18, Elon financial records for Kaylee. The records contained in this folder relate to a P1 FCU account for Kaylee Gonsalves' relative. The state has not specified which of these records it intends to use at trial. 19, ENS Services 1300 Johnson Ave Pullman, surveillance video for November 13th, 2022. This disclosure contains 2 dates of surveillance, each with 125 entries. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 20. Farmers Insurance surveillance video for November 13th. This disclosure contains 2 files. One has 641 separate videos, and the other has 175 videos. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 21. Floyd's Cannabis Company surveillance video for November 13th, 2022. The surveillance in this disclosure comes from 2 separate cameras and has multiple views. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Forest Dax, Crypto.com. Financial records for Bryan Kohberger. 1 file. This disclosure contains records that show purchase history and include the time, but not the date, account activity, and automated chats related to account updates. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. On March 13th, 2025, for the first time, the state disclosed that its expert Michael Douglas intends to rely on this record in his summary. No opinion regarding these records has been disclosed. 23. Grub Truck video surveillance from November 13th. This disclosure contains 4.5 hours of video. The state has not provided any specifics related to what portion of the video it intends to rely on or use as evidence. I think it's 15 minutes out of the 4.5 hours, if I remember correctly. 24. Harbor Freight business and surveillance records. They kicked these right out. This disclosure contains surveillance video, receipts, and a product manual. Interesting. Most of the purchase the state has not provided any specific related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 25. Idaho Central Credit Union Bank. Though I think I read somewhere too, the DoorDash driver's initials were also MM. So, who knows any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. If I remember correctly, they're no longer relying on this at all. 26. Indian Mountain Lake surveillance. This disclosure does not contain video surveillance. It does contain records of entry and a visitor's log. Date Mr. Kohberger was arrested. The video surveillance, huh? Parents' little community there. It's definitely video. That's interesting. You have the visitor logs that go past him being arrested. Interesting. Wonder who went there after he was arrested. Who checked in and out of that community and entered and left that community after he was arrested. That's what I want to know. Sidebar, sorry. 27. Joanne Fabric's financial records. This disclosure contains purchase information and a receipt. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. I think this one's out too. 28. Latah County Sheriff's Office Deputy Darren Duke body cam video, August 21st, 2022. I wrote in here because Latah County. So the Deputy Darren Duke body camera, August 21st, 2022. My little note is that this stop for Bryan occurred hours after Moss Police Department took it upon themselves to walk over to the King Road home for a noise complaint that never happened and was never called in for the 1122 King Road home. And the result of that non-noise complaint, the result of these taking it upon themselves to go over there that day, it just happens to be hours before Bryan is stopped and Kaylee Gonzalez has her ID photographed by one of those officers. So that's just my little sidebar note. On the same day within hours, right? And the fact of the matter is, nobody can say that those officers were called to that house because they weren't. They took it upon themselves to go over there. No one called them to that home. No one called the noise complaint in for that home. Just wanted to point that out. 30. Marshall's financial records for Mr. Kohberger. 3 files. First file, disclosure contains Marshall's receipt. Second file, contains a variety of documents. So this is supposed to be number 30 is 3 files, and it's supposed to be Marshall's financial records for Mr. Kohberger. The first file contains Marshall's receipts, but the second file, what does it contain? Well, it contains a variety of documents that include police reports, photos, interviews, handwritten notes, consent forms, victimology questionnaires, receipts, copies of messages, and other documents, most of which are not related to Mr. Kohberger. The state has not suppression of any record within the file. Well, it will come to see this file's out. Fuck. We didn't mean to give you that. Oops. That one's out. Third file contains a single-page document listing purchases for multiple businesses. This file contains nothing to identify what it is or who it's about. 31. National Weather Service records for November 12th and 13th. Okay. 32. Numerica Bank records for Kaylee. 1, 2, 3 files. Hard drive contains account information produced pursuant to a search warrant. First file contains a sheet with sign-in information. Second file contains information produced pursuant to a search warrant. Third file contains multiple files of unrelated records, as well as a duplicate of AV 000828. Only one file has a purported certification. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Well, this one's out too. PayPal, Venmo, financial records. 1, 2, 3 files. First file, this disclosure contains Venmo records for Mr. Kohberger. Does not have any sort of compliance with case law or statute. Second file, this disclosure contains records from Synchrony for Mr. Kohberger's PayPal. The state has included a purported certification of these records is included. Third file, this disclosure contains records from PayPal. These records are different than those contained in AB 000260. The state has not supplied certification. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 34. PNC bank records for Mr. Kohberger. This record contains Mr. Kohberger's account information with transactions from June 2022. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Pentel data records. 2 files. First file contains Pentel data account for MK and MAK. Those are Kohberger's parents, I assume. Pentel, if I remember correctly, is like the fiber optic, cable, phone, internet provider for that area. Second file contains copies of the same information. The state has not provided any specifics related what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 36. Pennsylvania State Employee Credit Union for Mr. Kohberger. 3 files. First file contains PSECU records for Mr. Kohberger. A certification is included. However, it lists disclosure of 23 pages. The state provided 26 and an Excel spreadsheet. Oops, got a couple more things they weren't supposed to get. Second file contains PSECU records for Kohberger's parents. Third file contains different or additional PSECU records for Mr. Kohberger. There is no certification for the records. 37. Petco financial records for Kaylee. 1 file contains Petco records from purchases made with cards associated with Kaylee and her rewards card. 38. Right financial records. 1 file. Do not have any video footage and no transactions for Bethany Funk. The disclosure consists of 3 pages. Records are provided, but nothing to identify who they relate to. The state provides no certification for the records. Interesting, so the state wanted video or transaction history for Bethany Funk at the Rite Aid. Wonder what the dates are for on that. 39. Ross Financial Records. 1 file. It's a single-page disclosure that lists purchase, not from Ross stores, and has no identifying information. And it's not cited. 40. Sunset Mart, Main Street, Moscow, November 13th. This disclosure contains surveillance video from several cameras. There are 11 separate folders containing subfolders of footage. The recordings provide hours and hours of surveillance footage. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence, nor a certificate. 41. Sunset Mart, Bishop Boulevard, Pullman, November 13th. This disclosure contains surveillance video from several cameras. There are 3 folders containing subfolders that contain recordings. The recordings provide hours and hours of surveillance footage. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 42. Target Financial Records. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 files. First file. The disclosure is 51 pages of receipts from Target. No certification. Second file. This disclosure contains an email trail regarding a gift card issued in 2014. Certification is disclosed, but no records are attached. Third file. This disclosure is the same single-page disclosure listed for Ross in number 39. Fourth folder. This disclosure contains a letter to Agent Douglas stating they are providing the records for Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk from Target. The disclosure provides a certification stating 5 pages of documents are provided. The state disclosed 6 pages of documents. 43. TikTok user records for Xana Kernodle. This record contains user history including use, messaging, and videos. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. Well, the response from the state, as we'll see, the state is saying Xana was on her TikTok at 3:16 a.m. It's interesting, huh? We were told 4:12. They seem to want to specifically rely on 3:16, though, apparently. 44. TJX financial records for Dylan Mortensen. This disclosure contains email communication relating to the disclosure and a single record of purchase by Dylan Mortensen on 10/18/2022. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on. Right around Halloween, wonder what she went and bought. 45. T-Mobile records for Kaylee and Dylan. This contains call detail and subscriber records for Kaylee and Dylan from June 23rd, 2022 to August 1st, 2022. Oh, beep, beep. Let me pause here for a minute and come back over to my chat. Hello, everybody. Do y'all remember months and months back when I said, hey, this warrant's weird, right? We went back and we looked at some of the warrants at the beginning of the case, the warrants, and I said, this is strange. Why is Detective Mowry getting a warrant for Kaylee and Dylan, claiming he believes evidence of the crimes are going to be in their phones for that time period of June 23rd, 2022 to August 1st, 2022? And I was told, no, you're wrong. Nope, I'm not wrong. The state even turned it over and disclosed it. T-Mobile phone records for Kaylee and Dylan. This disclosure contains the call detail and subscriber records for Kaylee Gonzalez and Dylan Mortensen from June 23rd, 2022 to August 1st, 2022. Because that's what he wrote, the dates he wrote the warrant for the phone. Those are the dates he put in. And if you go back and read his warrant, mods, if you're in chat, if one of you can go grab that AT&T warrant, remember when it all came out and it was all unredacted and we could see the numbers and who it was for and blah, blah, blah. I covered it months back. I remember covering it. And I thought it was strange that Detective Mowry or whoever wrote the warrant was going to the court claiming they believe evidence of the crimes of homicide was going to be in these 2 girls' phones for that date. That's what he wrote in his warrant. And that's why, as you can see here, the defense is saying, so number 45 are the T-Mobile phone records. That's what the state turned over for Kaylee and Dylan. You think the defense can't see that the warrant is claiming evidence relating to these crimes is going to be in their phones for that time period? If nobody shit can see it, Obviously, the defense did. Know what I mean? So isn't that wild? Hopefully my chat is still going. I don't know. I have bad weather where I am, and it keeps showing on my end that it's like lagging. So hopefully my audio is okay and you guys can hear me all right. Isn't that interesting though, huh? So even the state turned over the T-Mobile phone records for Kaylee and Dylan. And I know the state is trying to say that the reason that they're using it is because they are trying to show the time. It's for a timeline for Dylan and Kaylee for the night of the murders or whatever. The problem is that the records aren't even for that time. The records aren't for November. The T-Mobile phone records that they turned over are for June 23rd to August. Know what I mean? So how are you as the state going to say that you plan to use these records for this time period to corroborate a timeline for Dylan and Kaylee in November when your records are only go up to August 1st? I don't know. We'll get to it. Let's keep it moving. Number 46, Umpqua bank records for Dylan. One file. This disclosure contains Dylan Mortensen's banking records. This disclosure also contains records produced from another financial institution for MM. Additionally, this disclosure contains a copy of a grand jury subpoena and a letter of instruction. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 47. Under Armour transaction records for Bryan Kohberger. One file. This disclosure contains a letter responding to the record request and a record of a single purchase for Mr. Kohberger made in Pennsylvania, June 24, 2022. State has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 48. U.S. Chef Store, Clarkston, Washington. Video surveillance for November 13th. This disclosure contains a surveillance video lasting approximately 25 minutes. The state has not provided any specifics as to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 50. Ulta Financial Records, one file. This disclosure contains purchase records for Kaylee and MM. I honestly, at this point, I assume it's Maddie Mogan, right? But we also know that somewhere in these documents, the freaking DoorDash driver is also listed as MM. So I don't know at this point. I really don't know anymore. And a person identified only by a member ID number. Interesting. The disclosure contains a letter from the business. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 51. Verizon phone records for Ethan Chapin, Bethany Funk, and Jack DeCour. This disclosure contains phone downloads for each of the named persons. These records are captured by more than one tool for download. Each record contains a huge amount of data. The disclosure contains records for Ethan Chapin and Bethany Funk, but there are no records for Jack DeCour in this disclosure. Interesting. So you got the Verizon phone records. It's on a hard drive that you provided to the defense for Ethan, Bethany, and Jack. And miraculously, Jack's is the one not in there, huh? Interesting. There are no records for Jack DeCour in this disclosure. State has not provided specifics, what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. So that's repeated throughout. 52. Walmart surveillance and financial transaction records for Kohberger. Two files. First file, disclosure contains purchase history for Kohberger. Second file, disclosure is one of several containing surveillance videos from Walmart. In this particular folder, there are multiple cameras and surveillance videos. These would not open and were provided in a converted format. Not every video from this folder was provided in the converted format. The state has not provided any specifics as to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 53. Washington Department of Motor Vehicle surveillance footage. Two files, disclosure contains surveillance footage. State has not provided certification. Second folder, disclosure contains surveillance footage and is noted as converted. Both disclosures have several videos. The videos contain no sound and no certification was provided. 54. Washington Department of Motor Vehicles registration documents for Kohberger. 2 folders. Looks like, oh, no. One folder. Disclosure contains registration and title documents. 55. Washington Trust Bank records for Mr. Kohberger. 1 file. This disclosure contains Washington Trust Bank records for Mr. Kohberger. There is an Excel spreadsheet of transactions and PDG documents of images of Mr. Kohberger in his car at the ATM on the morning of November 13th, 2022. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 56. Wells Fargo bank records for MM. 1, 2, 3. Looks like 3 folders. 3 files. First file. Disclosure contains Wells Fargo records for MM. These records were obtained pursuant to a search warrant. Second file. Disclosure contains Umpqua bank records for Dylan Mortensen and Wells Fargo records for this record contains the grand jury packet and letter. Oh my God, these records are not the same as the records contained in 000155. So these records here in AV 000261 are not the same as the records here that were the result of a search warrant right here, AV 000155. And furthermore, AV 000261, well, you've got Dylan's Wells Fargo records for M and the grand jury packet and letter. By the way, records are not the same as the record in the first one. Oops. Next, this disclosure contains Wells Fargo records for MM. They are the same records contained in AV 155 and AV. Okay, so the third duplicates. Jesus. Next one. This disclosure with another document that had not been provided any other related disclosure. Oops. Gave them something else they weren't supposed to have. 57. Winco financial records for Mr. Kohberger. This is the same single-page document referenced in number 39 Ross and 42 Target. The disclosure does contain Mr. Kohberger's financial records relating to Winco. 58. Winco financial records and surveillance. 4. Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, Kaylee Gonsalves, MM, because we don't know if it's Maddie, and Xander Kernodle. We can assume it's me. Honestly, at this point, I don't know anymore. Let's see. This disclosure contains transactions for those listed above. The purported certification reads Winco food receipts only. So it's not surveillance. This disclosure contains surveillance video, from several cameras at Winco. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 59. WSU video surveillance, November 13th. Disclosure contains surveillance video from a variety of cameras and multiple separate videos of surveillance footage at WSU. The state has not provided any specifics as to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. 60. WSU parking records, 1, 2, 3 files. First file. This disclosure is record from WSU containing a vast amount of information about vehicles, parking, and campus-related information. Second file. This disclosure contains content appearing to be duplicate of the first. Third file. This disclosure contains a huge amount of data covering U of I and WSU parking permits, parking tickets, searches for vehicles through different entities, vehicle spreadsheets, specific files seeking 2011 to 2013 Elantras and 2019 to 2022 Nissan Sentras. Beep, beep. There are 2 WSU-related folders. One contains some of the same information in AV 000375 and AV 000394, but also contains additional information. The second WSU-related file contains spreadsheets for various vehicles queried through the traffic tickets. The state has not provided any specifics related to what it intends to rely on or use as evidence. The state is seeking broad authority to provide in the future certification for records listed above. These records are extensive. They contain several terabytes of video and thousands of pages. The state has obtained these records in a variety of ways. Some came through police work doing video canvassing. Others came with search warrant service, and many came through federal grand jury subpoena. Mr. Kohberger provides, as an exhibit, a copy of the federal grand jury subpoena he was provided inadvertently. Ow. Oh, that's hysterical. He provided the grand jury subpoena he was given inadvertently as an exhibit. The defense is like, here you go. We're going to use this as an exhibit now. Thank you. It's now part of our evidence. Thank you. He sought all grand jury subpoenas through discovery and motion to compel. He was not provided copies other than this inadvertently produced copy. Psh, motherfuckers. Of interest, and in support of his objection to the state's motion, is that records were duly produced by search warrant and subpoena. The copy of records is not identical in every production. This exhibit depicts a letter from FBI agent Douglas directing the keeper of business records to contact him prior to fulfilling the subpoena. In the packet, in the exhibit, there is an affidavit of compliance which specifies what documents are responsive to the subpoena and specify what is supplied. As has been pointed out within the list discovery items above, when the affidavit has been produced in relation to the FBI grand jury subpoena, there is usually a discrepancy. Mr. Kohberger urges the court to first require the state to explain how each of these records are relevant, because the mass production without specificity makes it impossible for Mr. Kohberger to effectively confront this evidence. The court must require verification of the records and videos produced, along with any certification. To the state's broad request is summed up with reliance on his rights and protections under the United States Constitution and the State of Idaho Constitution. Mr. Kohberger has protections of a fair trial, effective assistance of counsel, and confronting evidence produced against him. Idaho rules of evidence govern evidence admissibility in trial. Mr. Kohberger objects to the state's request that it is a large sweep with a free pass for admissibility. The state's request is premature, excessively broad, and must be denied until the request can be disclosed specifically and properly litigated. Holy shit, Ann Taylor. Let me come back to chat. So that's the first one. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday. How's my sound? Says there's 53 people watching. Hello. Christy Nevada. Oh my goodness, Kent Kearney. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. When I'm in another window reading, I can't see my chat, friends. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Yvonne Poole, how are you? Kerry. Hello, Gina. Who else am I missing? Need some Z's. Christine Danger. Danger Zone. Crack-a-lack is right. How are you? Who else am I missing? Holy shit, if I'm missing anybody else, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your super sticker, Kent. Truly, truly appreciate it in every single way. Catacomb Man. Hello. Lynn T. Hello. Who else? Oh, if I'm missing you, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get through my chat here. Woke up, 1984, what's going on? Too fast for fleas, yes. This one's for you, darling. So I did the defenses first. Now we'll do the state's reply. That's the one, the 70 pages. We'll go through that. And then there's another, I think, if I remember correctly, this is the one too where the state says a lot of the stuff they're not even relying on. They actually just kind of said, nope, actually kidding. We're not going to use that. So that's pretty funny. Musical Contessa, hello. Welcome on in. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. Young black economist. So no cleanup equipment bought yet. No blood, no blood in BK's car yet ended. I know, honey. Doesn't look like he purchased any cleanup equipment. Doesn't look like he actually cleaned the car. I don't think so. I'm not sure. Scott Reed, how you doing? Thanks for being here. All right, so the next one is going to be the 70 pages. Stop sharing that. I can save this, close it out. Come over here and do this. Jack Johnstone, how you doing? Welcome on in. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Happy Saturday. Hope you're having a great day. It's crappy and cold and snowing where I am, so I'm in for the day. I'm going to make some soup after I'm done this, and that's what we're doing. Let me make that a little bit smaller. There we go. All right. So, all right. Hopefully everybody's good. We got a lot to get into. This one's 70 pages. You're at the bar, Tar Rock. Well, cheers to you. One for me, pal. Appreciate it. I don't like beer, though. Unless it's a Blue Moon with an extra orange slice. Jack Johnstone. AT, we have Cyray. FBI, we have Stingray. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when it comes to, you're in the woods with your Roddy Mercy cat, good. Good. That's exactly where you should be, darling, is in nature. I hope it's beautiful where you are. And you and the dog are having a wonderful, wonderful walk and enjoying the weather. That's what you should be doing. 76 in South Jersey. Sweet. I know it's supposed to warm up where I am next week. Thank you. Tar Rock, oh my goodness, thank you so much for your super sticker. Appreciate you. You guys kick ass. You know that? I don't care what anybody says. You all kick ass. Mercy Cat, don't be sorry, darling. Go walk. Enjoy nature and just listen, darling. All right, let's get into this. 70 pages, too fast for fleas. This one's for you. Special request granted, right? You rub the genie and wish granted. Here we go. All right. Comes now. State of Idaho. By and through the Latah County prosecuting attorney respectfully replies to the defendant's objection to the state's motion in limine regarding self-authentication of records. All right. Let's see. Replying specifically to the defendant's response. Number 1. So the list we just went through. Linda Lane. 1320 Linda Lane. This footage is maintained by a property management company. The state would seek admission of this footage pursuant to IRE 8036. The relevant footage is taken on November 13th, approximately 0.3 miles from the 1122 King Road crime scene. The state may rely on video footage around 3:29 a.m. showing the suspect vehicle, the area of the crime scene prior to the homicides. Well, that's interesting. 3:29 a.m., huh? They may rely on video footage around 3:29 a.m. from 1320 Linda Lane, showing the suspect vehicle in the area of the crime scene prior to the homicides. Interesting. 2. 1330 Linda Lane surveillance footage from November 13th, 2022. This footage is maintained by the same property management company as 1320. The relevant footage is taken from November 13th, approximately 0.3 miles from the crime scene. The state may rely on video footage from approximately 3:30 to 4:07, showing the suspect vehicle traveling around the area of the crime scene prior to the homicides. So 3:29, 3:30 to 4:07 for that one. Interesting. 3. Albertsons, Clarkston, Washington. Video surveillance, November 13th. This footage is maintained by Albertsons Grocery. Relevant footage is taken November 13th. State may rely on video footage from approximately 12:46 p.m. to 1:06 p.m. to show the defendant's vehicle in actions hour after the homicides. Number 4, Amazon financial records for Bryan. Regarding purchase history, the state is attaching a certificate of authenticity dated 12/30/2022, pursuant to IRE 8036 and 90211 from Amazon.com. States Exhibit S1. This certificate was included with an Excel data file, tells Bryan Kohberger's subscription information and order history from January 5th to December 13th, 2022. At trial, the state intends to offer the certificate with the attached records as an exhibit. Defendant was provided this information May 18th, 2023. Regarding click history, the state is attaching a certificate of authenticity pursuant to IRE 8036 and 0211 from Amazon. This references this number here, DS, which is related to the Excel data file by the same name that the details descript references this DS, which is related to the Excel data file by the same name that details subscription information, click activity, and sign-in history of the defendant as directed in the underlying search warrant. Defendant was provided this information July 12th, 2023. The state incorporates response to defendant's motion in limine number 9. Okay. They're saying that's where that's going to be, July 12th, 2023. Number 5, AT&T phone records XK. The above AT&T phone records are relied upon by the state's expert witness, Nicholas Balance, as detailed in his expert disclosure. Well, we know that's all not true. A certificate of authenticity is attached as Exhibit S3, which was included with the return for Bryan Kohberger's AT&T records for November 12th through November 14th, 2022. This was provided to the defendant around April 4th, 2023. A certificate of authenticity is attached as Exhibit S4, which was included with the return for Bryan Kohberger's AT&T records for June 23rd to December 23rd, 2022. We now know is actually mapped. Now that we have Cyrase added, we now know that none for Bryan Kohberger's phone from June to December was mapped by Balance. Call detail records were provided for both MM and XK. The state intends to obtain a certificate of authenticity from AT&T that comports with IRE 8036 and 90211 prior to offering the exhibit. 6. Bagel shop video surveillance video footage for November 13th. Footage maintained by a business. The relevant footage is taken November 13th, 2022, from approximately 1:40 a.m. to 2 a.m. This evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mogan before the sides and corroborates the state's witnesses' testimony. 1:40 to 2. Weren't they home by 2? Bagel shop. Isn't the bagel shop by the grub truck? I thought they were home by 2 o'clock. 7. Bank of America records for Bethany Funk and Xana Kernodle. Oh, the state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. Well, of course it doesn't. Banner banking records for Ethan Chapin. The state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. Well, of course it doesn't. Cafe Arista video surveillance, November 13th. The relevant footage is taken November 13th, 2022 at approximately 1:40 a.m. Evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mogan before the homicides and corroborates the state's witnesses' testimony. Cafe Artista, also right by the grub truck, if I remember correctly. 1:40 a.m. 10. Corner Club video surveillance footage. The relevant footage is taken November 12th, 2022 at approximately 10:20 p.m. through November 13th, 2022 at approximately 1:37 a.m. This evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mogan before the homicides and corroborates the state's witness testimony. Well, that's interesting. So the Corner Club footage is going to show them there from 10:20 p.m. to 1:37 a.m., even though her receipt says she cashed out at 12:22 p.m. KG Interesting. 137. 11. Corner Club financial transaction receipts for sales November 13th. The relevant portion is attached to State's exhibit. That's the one with her receipt. Provides timeline of events for Kaylee and Maddie before the homicides. Right. And the receipt they provided says she cashed out at 12:22. Number 12, Costco, Clarkston, Washington. The relevant footage is taken November 13th, 2022. State may rely on video footage from approximately 11:59 a.m. show the defendant's vehicle and actions hours after the homicides. Was provided to the defendant May 18th, 2023. DeSales student records regarding Bryan Kohberger. Has attached the relevant evidence which would be introduced to show defendant's knowledge of crime scenes. Right. Yeah, they're using his final from 20. Think about that. If you go to school for criminology, you take criminology courses, and you have to do a final in your final. In order for you to pass this course, you have to pass this final. And you have to have knowledge of a crime scene, how to work it, right? They may use that against you down the road. It may be used against you at some point. Try to get a career, and, well, your finals that you did for school in that criminology career, it may be used against you one day, right? Because, well, see, you went to school for it, you little creep. You went to learn how to commit crimes, didn't you, you little creep? That's literally how they're trying to portray this shit. Wild. 14, Dick's Sporting Goods records of sale for Bryan Kohberger. The relevance of this information is Bryan Kohberger purchased a black balaclava from Dick's Sporting Goods on January 10th, 2022. The same mask is the same mask described by Dylan Mortensen that she witnessed worn by a male in the residence on November 13th, 2022. Well, the problem with that state is that, number one, Dylan never described the balaclava or drew a balaclava until it was suggested to her by Vicky Gooch, and Vicky Gooch showed her what a balaclava looked like. Then she drew a balaclava. And Dylan has never identified Bryan, not by his mask, not by the balaclava, not by the bushy eyebrow, none of it. She's never identified Bryan Kohberger ever. 15. Discover financial records for Kaylee Gonzalez. The state no longer intends to rely on that. Well, of course you don't. There were 16 of it missing. It's got information for someone else. Of course you don't want to rely on it. All their banking records, all of a sudden, they just don't want to rely on. Interesting. 16, DoorDash records for Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin. The state may rely on the attached records from DoorDash regarding to 1122 King Road on November 13th at 3:59 a.m. The particular evidence provides a timeline of events for Xana Kernodle before the homicides and corroborates the state's witness testimony. 3:59 a.m. So she's on TikTok at 3:16 a.m. 3:59. The DoorDash is delivered. Sidebar, back in 2022, for anybody, during the, when the colitis was making its way around the globe and we all had to stay home or do jobs that worked from home or had to go do any type of gig work, DoorDash, Grubhub, contactless delivery, back in 2022, there were certain orders that you could mark as delivered even if you hadn't gotten to the address yet. Say you picked up 2 orders that were really close together. You're dropping off one at this house over here, and this one's going to the house right around the corner. Back then, you technically could have marked both as delivered, even though you hadn't gotten to the second one yet. Just throwing that out there. So 3:59 a.m., the DoorDash is allegedly delivered. Interesting. 17, early warning record. Oh, well, the state doesn't want to rely on those either. Interesting. Of course they don't. Also related to banking. Elon financial records for Kaylee. Oh, state no longer intends to rely on it. Well, of course you don't. E&S Services, 1300 Johnson Ave. State may rely on video footage from November 13th at around 5:26 a.m. showing the suspect vehicle after the homicides. 20. Farmers insurance surveillance video from November 13th. State no longer intends to rely on that. 21. Floyd's cannabis. The state may rely on video footage from November 13th at around 3:02 a.m. showing a white sedan on State Route 270 between Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho, approximately 1 hour before the homicides. 3:02. 22. ForestAxCrypto.com records for Bryan Kohberger. The state has provided information related to the relevancy of this item in its expert disclosure. Special Agent Michael Douglas. Douglas is a factual witness regarding this account. Interesting. 23. Grub truck. Relevant footage is taken November 13th from approximately 1:43 to 1:53. Yeah, 10 minutes. So out of 4.5 hours of video, they're using 10 minutes. This provides a timeline of events for Kaylee and Maddie. So then, well, okay, I'll shut up because they're claiming that the other place, the bagel shop, has them till 2 a.m. Grub truck, they're using 1:43 to 1:53. 24. Freight, business, and surveillance records. The state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. Well, of course you don't, because it was all purchase receipts and records for people other than Mr. Kohberger. And it was showing all of their purchase receipts and everything they bought, along with a user manual for something. Interesting. Wonder if the user manual was for like, a little green machine, a cleaning machine. Harbor Freight, a user manual. Idaho Central Credit Union, bank records for MM. State doesn't want to rely on those anymore, of course. Indian Mountain Lake surveillance and records. Well, that was the one that had no surveillance, but it had the logs for the entry and the exits into Bryan Kohberger's parents' residence, right? The little residential neighborhood there. And the records and the logs exceeded past Mr. Kohberger's arrest. And now the state says, oh, kidding, don't want to rely on those. Joanne Fabric's financial records. Oh, don't want to rely on those. Latah County Sheriff's Office Deputy Darren Duke body cam, August 21st. They are submitting that. Same with the citation first. 30. Marshall's financial records for Mr. Kohberger. State no longer intends to rely on this evidence, right? Because that was also the one that didn't just have the Marshall's receipts. It had victimology questionnaires. It had all kinds of other documents, records, emails, communications, things in there that had nothing to do with Marshall's financial records. 31. National Weather Service records for November 12th and 13th. Public record, blah, blah, blah. Provided to the defendant with corresponding records March 20th, 2025. So they just provided him now, March 20th, 2025, those records. 32. Numerica bank records for KC. I think that's supposed to be KG. What was number 32 on the list? Hang on, let me go look. Might just be a typo. Let me go look. 32. Yeah, it's for Kaylee. Okay, so that's actually for Kaylee. I'm going to keep that list open so we can just go by it. Oh, doesn't want to rely on that either. Now, why don't they want to rely on Kaylee's? Let's look at this again. 32. All of it was information that was produced via a search warrant, contains a sheet with sign-in information, contains information produced pursuant to the search warrant, contains multiple files of unrelated records as well as a duplicate. Only one file has a purported certification. Okay, so it was the other one that had the other stuff in it. Okay. 33. PayPal, Venmo financial records. Who's that for? Mr. Kohberger. State would seek admission. Doesn't say what it is. PNC records for Mr. Kohberger. State has provided specifics regarding the relevance of this in the state's expert disclosure for Michael Douglas. 35. Pentel data records. Well, that's all the data records for the Kohbergers. Fiber optic, internet, whatever. The state no longer wants to rely on that. 36. Pennsylvania State Employees Credit Union for Bryan Kohberger. The state has provided specifics relevance of the information in the state's expert disclosure for Michael Douglas. 37. Petco Financial Kaylee. State no longer wants to rely on that. Rite Aid Financial Records for Bethany. State no longer wants to rely on that. Ross Financial Records that were not actual Ross Financial Records. State no longer wants to rely on that. 40. Sunset Mart. Relevant footage taken November 13th, approximately 0.5 miles from the 1122 King Road crime scene. The state may rely on video footage from 3:28 a.m. showing the suspect vehicle in the area of the crime. 302, 328. Sunset Mart, Bishop Boulevard, Pullman. State may rely on video footage from November 13th, approximately 5:25 to 5:26, showing the suspect vehicle in Pullman after the homicides. 42. Target Financial Records. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go look at 42 again. 42. Let's see what 42 is. 42 is 51 pages of receipts from Target. Disclosure contains an email trail for a gift card issued in 2014. Disclosure is the same single-page disclosure listed for Ross in number 39. This disclosure also contains a letter to Agent Douglas stating they are provided the records for Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk from Target. The disclosure provides certification stating 5 pages of the documents are provided. The state has disclosed 6 pages of documents. Okay, and what does the state say? We don't want to rely on that anymore. Kidding. TikTok user records for Xana. These records would show Xana Kernodle on the TikTok app on November 13th at 3:16 a.m. Well, I thought you said it was 4:12. 44. TJX financial records for Dylan Mortensen. State no longer wants to rely on that. Of course they don't. 44. This disclosure contains email communication. Let's go look at 44. Communicated from the defense. They're telling us what's in there. So everything that the state doesn't want to rely on, that's why I'm reading what the defense is saying is in there. Might give you a hint as to why they don't want to rely on it. This disclosure contains email communications relating to the disclosure and a single record of a purchase by Dylan Mortensen on October 18th, 2022. State says I want to rely on that. 45. T-Mobile records for Kaylee and Dylan. Specifically, the state would seek to show the phone records for Kaylee and Dylan on November 13th, 2022. This evidence provides a timeline of events for Kaylee and Dylan before well, here's the problem, state. Let's go look over here. Go look at the same number from the defense. Number 45, T-Mobile records for Kaylee and Dylan. Well, what does number 45 say? Number 45 says, this disclosure contains call detail and subscriber records for Kaylee and Dylan from 23rd, 2022 to August 1st, 2022. So how is that going to corroborate the timeline, state, for them for November 13th, 2022 if it only goes to August 1st? Okay? That doesn't make any sense. Nice try, though. 46. Umpqua bank records for Dylan. State no longer wants to rely on that. Under Armour, state no longer wants to rely on that. One purchase in June. They don't want it anymore. 48. Chef store in Clarkston. Relevant footage is taken November 13th. The state may rely on video footage approximately 12:42 to 12:04 to show the defendant's vehicle and actions hours after the homicides. 49. The state defendant does not have a 49 listed in their response. Let's go see. No, he don't. 50. Ulta financial records for Kaylee and Maddie. State no longer wants, and the other unknown person who just went by a member number. State no longer intends to rely on it. 51. Verizon phone records for Ethan Chapin, Bethany Funk, Jack DeCore. Specifically, the state would seek to show the phone records for Ethan Chapin Bethany Funk and Jack DeCore on November 13th, 2022. Evidence provides a timeline of events before the homicides and corroborates the state's witness's testimony. While the defense is saying the problem is that Jacks aren't in there. 52, Walmart surveillance for Bryan Kohberger. State no longer wants to rely on it. 53, Department of Motor Vehicles for Kohberger. They're getting a certificate for that. It's surveillance footage. We know what that is. DMV for Kohberger. We know what that is. 55, Washington Trust Bank records and images for Kohberger. The state has provided specifics regarding the relevance of this information in the state's expert disclosure for Michael Douglas. 56, Wells Fargo bank records for Maddie Mogen. State no longer intends to rely on this evidence. 56. Let's go what that one says. The Wells Fargo bank records for Maddie Mogen had 3 folders. First folder is a disclosure that contains Wells Fargo records for Maddie Mogen. Records were obtained pursuant a search warrant. Second folder is a disclosure containing Umpqua bank records for Dylan Mortensen and Wells Fargo records for Maddie Mogen. The record also contained the grand jury packet and letter. That's why they want it out. Other folder, it was a disclosure containing Wells Fargo records for Maddie Mogen, but they're not the same records as the prior folders. Okay, well, now we know why they want that one out. It's got the grand jury shit in it. 57, Winco financial records for Bryan Kohberger. The state no longer intends to rely on this evidence. Let's see. Oh, that had to do with the number 39 and number 42, Ross and Target, and did not contain Mr. Kohberger's financial records. 58, Winco financial records and video surveillance for Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Maddie Mogen, and Xander Kernodle. State no longer intends to use that. 58. This disclosure contained transactions for those listed above. The purported certification reads Winco food receipts only. The disclosure contains surveillance video from several cameras at Winco. The state has not provided any specifics as to what it intends to rely on. Okay. 59, WSU video surveillance. State may rely on video from November 13th at approximately 5:28 to 5:30, showing the suspect vehicle after the homicides in Pullman. Okay. Number 60, WSU parking records, 1, 2, 3 files. State may introduce these records to show Bryan Kohberger's Hyundai Elantra was registered with the WSU system and had an active permit. Okay. Let's go look at this real quick. Now I know why they want number. Okay, so number 60. Let's read number 60 again from the defense. WSU parking records, 1, 2, 3 folders. First folder, disclosure is record from WSU containing a vast amount of information about vehicles, parking, and campus-related information. Second folder, contains content appearing to duplicate the first. Third folder, this is the disclosure that contains a huge amount of data covering not only WSU, but the University of Idaho's parking permits, parking tickets, searches for vehicles through different entities, vehicle spreadsheets, and specific files seeking to 2013 Elantras and 2019 to 2022 Nissan Sentras. There are 2 WSU-related folders. One contains some of the same information in AV 000375 and AV 000394, but also contains additional information. The second WSU-related file contains spreadsheets for various vehicles queried through the traffic tickets. Oh, now we know why they only want. The state may introduce these records to show Bryan Kohberger's Elantra was registered. So they only want to show, see, his car was registered there and he had an active permit. And the defense is saying, well, no, bitch, because you gave us these specific files that showed you're all seeking 2 vehicles. One is a 2011 to a 2013 Elantra, and the second is a 2019 to a 2022 Nissan Sentra. Never mind just Kohbergers. That's what it sounds like. All right, let me get back over here to chat. Jazz King. Oh, well, hello. Welcome on in. Jack Johnstone, are you okay? I mean, you know you don't have to be here, right? You know that? You can literally just click out any live that you don't want to be in, right? It's not about being a BK fan. I'm not exactly sure what you're confused about here. Has nothing to do with being a BK fan. I don't know how you can read these documents and not understand the problem. If if you can hear someone else read the documents and you still don't understand the problem, I don't even know why you're in the chat. Why are you even here? What's the point? Right? Doesn't make any sense. And the sad thing is you had to subscribe to my channel for 20 minutes or longer to even be able to comment in my chat. That's what's even funnier about it, because I set it to where you have to be subscribed for 20 minutes or longer. So, I mean, the fact that you had to subscribe and then wait an entire 20 minutes just to say, BK fans sent him some stars to decorate his cell. I mean, wow. I would say I have better things to do with my life than subscribe to someone I don't even want to listen to just so I can throw some stupid comment in their chat. Know what I mean? I got better things to do. I would hope you do too, friend. Yeah, design rhythm, right? It's not about whether he's innocent or guilty. It's about when you read these documents and you see that not only would it appear they've known from the beginning his phone data, his call detail records, and his timing advance reports, they're exculpatory to him. And they knew that from the beginning, which is why they buried them and said, oh, we couldn't get him. Even though we got the timing advance reports for 3,800 other people on the tower, 2 victims, and a different suspect, even though we could get those timing advance reports, hey, sorry guys, just couldn't get Bryan's. And then oopsie poopsie, guess what? The defense got Bryan's. They have all of his call detail records. They have everything. And they know it's all exculpatory. If you haven't picked it up yet, Jack, right? Jack Johnstone, if you haven't picked it up, what's been being put down here? The state was given the rope for the last year and a half by the defense, and the state hung themselves with that rope. You understand? Not sure if, maybe you need to wake up to that, Jack. Okay, start paying attention. Get with the program here. Okay. The evidence they claim is inculpatory to Bryan is actually exculpatory. You understand that, right? If the state can claim that they used his phone data to say he was near this crime scene 23 times, if the state is going to say that, and then we find out that they never mapped phone data from December, number one, what data do you have to prove he was anywhere near this? Number one. Number two, actual expert, has it, knows it's exculpatory, knows that's why. Not only did the state have it, the prosecutor's office had it, Jennings had it, they knew it was exculpatory, which is why they buried it and pretended they couldn't get it. You understand? Jack, hopefully that helps catch you up to speed, buddy. So anyways, Too Fast for Police. I went through both of those for you, darling, in record time, hour and 20 minutes. We just got through 84 pages. The one from the defense was 14, and this one from the state was 70. You believe it? 84 pages, an hour and 20 minutes. We kick ass. And I hope while you were doing yard work, too fast for fleas, that's what you were looking for, darling. And I'm happy to accommodate you. And then next, what we're going to be getting into is going to be still a few more things I need to catch up on because of like before I got hurt and stuff. What we're going to do is I'll probably try and schedule something for tomorrow afternoon, maybe around the same time, like 1-ish. And we'll try to catch up on some of the other things we didn't get to catch up on, cover a few things, maybe just do a little Sunday chit chat, right? Coffee, chit chat. Maybe I'll even consider dropping the link. But you guys know how much I hate. I do want to have a guest though soon. Maybe Swamp will come if she's not busy. Wonder if Kiki will come on tomorrow. Maybe around 1. I'll try to message her. Yeah, right, Joanne? Damn. Record time, baby. 84 pages, an hour and 20 minutes. Bang that shit right out, huh? We kick ass. Tarok. I want to see the fucking dollhouse they're going to bring out. Did they make action figures? No, apparently not even going to. Oh, you're very welcome, Too Fast, honey. Apparently, Tarok, what they're going to do, they don't even plan to depict where bodies may have been at all. At all. There's another one that was a filing. We're going to get into it tomorrow. I want to bring that one up from the crime scene reconstructionist for the defense. What he's claiming, they only scanned the 2 rooms with the bodies. They didn't scan the whole house. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? They only scanned the 2 rooms with the bodies. It is Meg P. That's the one. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Julianne. Jazz King, thank you. Yeah. I promised 2 for fleas. And I figured since I was doing the one for the state, we might as well read the defendants right along with it, right? So we got a little twofer. We got a little twofer today. A nooner and a twofer. It's everybody's lucky day, right? P. Fox, you missed the whole thing, honey? Well, that's okay. I'm sorry. Replay it at 2 speed like Kane does. You'll get through really quick. Oh, you really like my commentary. Oh, okay, thanks, Jack. I thought you were being a smartass in my chat, so I was going to be a smartass right back to you. But, you know, this isn't about being a fan of BK. It has nothing to do with it, right? This isn't about a BK fan club, just so you know. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with whatever they did here. They clearly knew from the very beginning the person that they were looking. It's the wrong person. And then they just continued on and buried anything that would be exculpatory for that person. That's what it appears to be here. It's what it appears to be. And that is absolutely diabolical. It's diabolical in every sense of the word, in my opinion. But anyways, Quality Emerald, I thank you for spending time with me. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Delby, you want to come on and do some colorful comments sometime? Okay. We'll try to plan for that. How about that? I'm very, very picky. I don't want to sound like a dick, okay? But because I come from the time where prior to having a channel, I've been on many, many lives, I understand how quickly someone's panels can just go completely off the rails. And I don't ever want to have that here. So I prefer to have on guests and we understand like what we're going to stay on topic. We're going to pick a topic, kind of stay with that, maybe look at some documents. I kind of like to stay in that realm, and I'm not too much into dropping the link for 5 or 6 or 7 people to get up and, you know, because sometimes that shit can go down south real quick. And I don't want any part of it, right? And I'm definitely not here to fight with creators or argue with other creators. I don't want to do that. So, I mean, every now and then I'll snark on some of them, but I'm not, it's all in good fun. It's just jokes, right? I'm never going to be making videos about other creators and things like that because it's just not what I'm here for. So I hope you guys know that. I hope you appreciate that. And I try to be drama free and I want everybody to be here as long as you're being respectful. I have some very limited chat rules, right? No spoilers in chat. You can't block my mods. If you think you're going to be here and you're going to block my mods, well, that's a no. You're not allowed to block mods in my chat. No spoilers, and don't call each other names. That's literally all that I ask. Don't come with personal attacks and things like that. I think we're all adults, and that's really easy to do. So hopefully, everybody's cool with that. But yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome day. We're about an hour and a half in. Mods, I love you so much. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope it's gorgeous. Hopefully, it's beautiful where everybody else is, and you get to enjoy your days and walk your dogs and hang and reconnection. Are you reconnecting me? Well, I think my signal's going in and out because my weather's really shitty here, friends. So I'm sure plenty of other people will be live. I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend. Mods, I appreciate you so much. And thank you, everyone, for your super chats, your super stickers, your kind words, and for being respectful to each other in my chat. I really, truly appreciate it. Young Black Economist, you have a great day, darling. Meg P, love you right back, honey. Summer Jade, thank you. You're amazing. It's sleeting where you are, Meg P. Yeah, same, honey. Ugh. I'm staying in and making soup. Go make soup if it's shitty where you are. Stay in and make soup. You hang with Friday? Delby? Oh, okay. Cool. All right. All right. All right, you guys. Have a great day. Take care and thank you so much. Bye.